Dauis, one of the oldest and most culturally significant towns in Bohol. The name Dauis came from the word Lois, which means a shallow area. Its very name speaks of great antiquity and echoes of a long and colorful history which still rings from the stone pavements and walls of its parish church. The church started keeping its own parish records in the year 1697, but centuries before this date, people were already living in its vicinity. In fact, the ancient maritime Kidatuan of Dapitan, with its stilt houses built above the sea waters in the strait and along the shorelines of present-day Tagbilaran, Baclayon, and Dauis, held sway over this part of the island until its dispersal in 1563. The Jesuit historian Father Francisco Ignacio Alcena, writing in the early part of the 17th century, labeled the Kidatuan of Dapitan the Venice of the East. The 17th and 18th centuries were troublesome periods for Bohol, with internal rebellion among the natives and a constant slaving raids conducted by pirates from the south. Still, the Jesuit missionaries managed to establish a visita in this town, sometimes in 1597, guarded by a couple of stone forts and its unique watchtower raised by the Augustinian Recollects in 1774. Deducing from Jesuit histories, a church of like materials may have been built here even before 1692. A second church, together with a convent, was finished in 1753 by the Jesuit Joseph Nepomuceno. The first to recollect started yet another church in 1769 of wood or bamboo. This burned down in 1795, necessitating the construction of a fourth church, parallel to which was the present convent. Today, only a grassy field marks the area where this fourth church stood. In 1863, the Recollet Father Julio Saldana finally found the means with which to build the fifth and present church. Looking closely at the architectural details, it was easy to draw insights regarding its construction. Compared to the other churches built earlier, the Church of Dauis boasted of wider windows, narrower walls, and its exterior stoneworks, even at the back part of the building, was done remarkable delicacy in polished. This was because the church was built well into a period of peace and relative prosperity. The artisans of Dauis, noted for their skills as carpenters, wood carvers, jewelry makers, and stone masons, poured all their talents into erecting this magnificent and charming house of God, fit for divine worship. The miraculous faith of the Blessed Virgin Mary, she who was assumed body and soul into heaven, made this parish church a center of Marian pilgrimages by devotees coming from the different parts of the island. This contributed to the prosperity of the town. As a result, construction of the church resumed well into the American colonial period, with its devotees sharing their wealth in embellishing and finishing the church in the early 1920s under the administration of Father Natalio Del Mar. On August 23, 1923, this present parish church, the fifth one, was solemnly consecrated by the first Filipino Bishop of Cebu, Bishop Juan Gorordo. In 1974, when the church was burglarized, the original miraculous statue lost its ivory head and heads. Today, a replica of the original statue presides over Dauis and the island of Pangao. The ceiling paintings of the church are the works of the Cebuano painter Ray Francia, who, together with another Cebuano, Canuto Avila, went around old churches of Bohol in the 1920s on commission with the Bishop of Cebu to decorate the interior with paintings. As with the other parish churches of Bohol, the Dauis ceiling paintings were done on galvanized iron sheets. However, Ray Francia did not paint scenes depicting the sacraments or biblical images so characteristic of the period immediately before the outbreak of the Second World War. Instead, he made a coffered ceiling in trompe-l'oeil that complements the heavy Renaissance form of the nave and the transept. On the spaces below the ceiling, he painted scenes about the life of the Blessed Virgin Mary as well as of the mysteries of the Holy Rosary. The religious poster paintings in the ceiling of the sanctuary are the works of a local artist done in the early 1960s. Despite the loss of several priceless items inside the church due to burglary and plain human neglect, Dauis Church still holds several movable cultural properties that need to be appreciated and guarded upon. Meanwhile, significant steps have been taken to restore the old Dauis convent, best known for its unique open verandas that enclose other galleries or voladas. On the ground floor, old layers of white paint were scrimped to showcase the immensity and texture of the ancient woodwork used in the construction. Old and broken church furniture, previously cast aside in storage, were repaired. The octagonal ceiling, painted by Ray Francia in the receiving area, was also restored. The present church is a mixture of artistic styles. The Gothic influence is manifested in the belfry that features narrow lancet windows and the uppermost level bristles with pointed arches, spires, and crockets. The church's facade has a portico which shades the weave of the entrance. Above the portico is the second-level facade, built in an ornamental neoclassic style. This extension encloses the choir loft, a common feature in Bohol churches. Open spaces on three sides of the church allow an excellent view of the architectural design and heighten its monumentality. A well, which is known for its water's healing power, lies at the foot of the main altar. Local tradition tells us that this well originated from the Spanish era. It has become the source of drinking water for the populace nearby, especially during droughts. The water tastes truly fresh, despite the well's closeness to the seashore. Because of the peculiar stories and testimonies of Our Lady's intercessions to Dauisanons and other people not from Dauis, many were attracted to hold pilgrimages to her lovely sanctuary. The parish was the host of the Marian Congress of the Diocese of Tagbilaran on December 5 to 8, 1954. when the miraculous patriarchal image was the reigning symbol of that occasion. In the months of April and May, several buses arrive at the church as devotees from the different parts of the province hold their annual excursion to this shrine of Mary. During the month of the Holy Rosary, 2 Catholic schools in Tagbilaran City, the Holy Spirit School and the Holy Name University, conduct separate annual pilgrimage to this Marian sanctuary. On the 15th of August 2004, the church was canonically declared the diocesan shrine of the Assumption of Our Lady by His Excellency, the late Most Reverend Leopoldo S. Tumula, Bishop of Tagbilaran. The relic of Saint Therese of Lisieux had a 3-day sojourn also in the Church of Dauis, as the parish hosted this pilgrimage in the province of Bohol on February 29, 2008. Last November 2021, a replica of the image of the Black Nazarene, a gift from Dauis Church to the Diocese of Tagbilaran, was temporarily enshrined in the parish church. In 2009, the then National Historical Institute, predecessor of the National Historical Commission of the Philippines, declared the Dauis Church complex a National Historical Landmark. 2 years later, the National Museum of the Philippines declared the parish church and the diocesan shrine a national cultural treasure. In October 2013, when a 7.2 magnitude earthquake hit Bohol and damaged the church, the National Historical Commission of the Philippines undertook the restoration work of the sacred building. At the completion of restoration, the parish church was ceremonially turned over to the Diocese of Tagbilaran and the parish, and was liturgically rededicated August 14, 2017. Recently, the diocesan shrine was granted a special bond of spiritual affinity and made an affiliate church of the St. Mary Major Papal Basilica in Rome last September 7, 2001, thus affording one who prays in this church to gain spiritual merits and indulgences in just the same way as when one prays in St. Mary Major Basilica. On December 11, 2001, Archbishop Charles John Brown, Apostolic Nuncio in the Philippines and Dean of Diplomatic Corps, visited the shrine parish of the Assumption of Our Lady and paid homage to the Blessed Virgin Mary. Finally, the Holy Father Francis granted a petition for a pontifical coronation of the venerated image of Nuestra Señora de la Asunción through a papal bull dated March 21, 2022, with a canonical coronation rite scheduled August 15, 2023. The angel Gabriel revealed to Mary that she is full of grace. Through the vicissitudes of her earthly life, Mary shares the fullness of her grace to her children. She shares to us her Son Jesus, who is himself grace and truth. May Dauis and Bohol be like the Blessed Virgin Mary and her Son, full of grace and truth.